So how should us humans understand our own place in this not so distant future where most jobs will be handled by machines?
And joining us to provide some optimism is successful technologist Jeff Birmingham. Jeff is a former Utah gubernatorial candidate, and he's also the author of the cleverly named new book, The Last Book Written by a Human. Jeff, so great to have you here. I got to say, this is a very punchy title, The Last Book Written by a Human. So how'd you come up with the name, and why did you want to write this book?
Yeah, Carrie and Steph, it's good to be with you today. The last book written by a human. I hope that's not the case. Right? It's a little tongue-in-cheek, but I wrote this, every painstaking word comes from a human. Actually, there's a little twist. The foreword is written by ChatGPT.
That's great.
So it's the last book written by a human. If I were landing in 2026 here on the Earth, everything was happening, AI was coming, what would I want to read? I'd want to read the last book written by a human to understand our moment.
And we have it here. There it is.
Right. That's where the title comes from.
And what do you hope people get from it?
Yeah, that as our machines become more and more intelligent, which is the case, we as humans must become more wise. The question is AI a technological problem, or is it a problem for humanity, a challenge for humanity? And I think it's about humans.
You know, Jeff, we have a lot of people, when we discuss AI, they fall into kind of the alarmist camp or the we must win this Cold War camp. But you're kind of taking a completely different path. You're emphasizing that it actually is an opportunity. So maybe you could touch on that a bit.
Yeah, I think that it's a crucible that humanity must go through together. And I talk about in the book how AI is just a mirror to us. And a reflection can be a powerful thing for all of us. We're able to look into the mirror and to see what is working and what maybe isn't. We're able to change and pivot based on what we want the future of humanity to be. So I think it can be a blessing in disguise.
Give us a concrete example of that. How would you apply this with some of the big challenges humankind is facing?
Yeah, I think that we see division. I ran for governor in Utah, as you said, and I was shocked to go to town hall after town hall in these small communities where people were almost the same. I mean, they shared 93% the same, yet they were at each other's throats and concerned. I think that social media, I talk about that being the baby AI, our first general use experiment with the almighty algorithm, and we see how that's divided us, right? That doesn't have to be the case, because like I said, we all share more in common than we do different. So I think we feel that in our politics, and we feel that elsewhere, this division that is maybe inherent in the algorithm, but it doesn't have to be that way.
So in that case, how can AI foster more human relations? Because it seems like it's taking away, as you joked about having an AI write the intro to the book, you know, you lose a bit of the authenticity in that human communication, as riddled with errors and typos as the human way is.
Yeah, well, I think that we miss, you guys have read enough AI content, I'm sure.
We were joking about it just now, in fact.
It's like a little flat, isn't it? It's almost too perfect, Carrie.
Yes.
You can notice it because it's too perfect. So, again, the obstacle, AI, becomes the way here, I think, for humanity. And one of the ways that it does that is it turns us back into ourselves and reminds us of the beautifulness of the messiness of being human and being alive, because it's not flat, it's not perfect. We transform in that mess, and it's through intimate human connection that we transform. And so I think, again, the obstacle becoming the way, it can turn us back to that if we choose that. We can get lost in the machine, lost in our digital devices, or we can choose to lean back into real humanity. And that's what I hope happens. That's what I think will happen, yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful vision. And really what I'm hearing is almost seeing that slightly icky perfection that comes with a lot of AI content is the recognition of the beauty of imperfection.
Yes.
So does your kind of hypothesis involve leaning away from AI or running with it into the future?
Yeah, I've been an adjunct professor at BYU in Utah to thousands of entrepreneurial students, and it was a big discussion. Do we just pretend like AI is not happening in the classroom? I don't think that's wise. Like, AI is here. The question for us is, why is it here, and why is it here now? And how can it help us become more human, not less? So I think we need to use AI as a bridge at times to real human connection and relationship. And I think it can be helpful in that regard.
In terms of the risks and sort of all of the dystopian movies that we've seen, some great ones with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
You know, what do we, especially as a technologist yourself, what do we as a society have to be aware of in the design of these systems, which seem to be accelerating at a pace far quicker than any legislation could keep up with?
Yeah, I think two things. Number one, first of all, you know, unfortunately, the human condition, we need pain to progress. And so I'm not saying that there isn't pain coming from AI, in fact, I think it is the pain that, like I said, turns us back to ourselves, maybe stops us from continuing to look outside where the answers aren't really there. They're inside of ourselves. In terms of regulation, obviously it can't keep up. This is why wisdom, I think, must match intelligence. And that wisdom comes from us. No matter how real we think AI is, it's a machine. It hasn't felt the pain of loss that the three of us have felt. It can't feel human connection and love in the way we have. We need to remember that. And in that remembering, like I said, we come back to ourselves and we come back to the human answers that will help humans flourish through this technological age.
This sounds like getting at something you speak about in the book, human being over human doing.
Yeah.
If you could lean into that more and talk, it's kind of philosophical approach
Yeah,
here.
well, I had become a human doing. I would say even addicted to doing. I built several billion-dollar companies in Utah, ran for governor, you know, blah, blah, blah. But the power is not found in the doing. In fact, I talk about climbing my little mountain of success and getting to the top of the mountain, and there being nothing up there but a cold, howling wind, just void, and more void on top of that. Again, it was a reminder to me that the answers aren't outside of us, they're inside of us. So what do we do in an age where machines can do so much better what we're used to doing? We return to our being. We are human beings after all. And if we lean into that being, I think that's where we can find the answers that we're looking for and focus AI directly on human flourishing instead of human division.
And Jeff, just in our last 30 seconds, what do you hope people get from the book? And even if they don't read it, what do you hope that they know about the last book written by a human?
Well, I think they'll feel the humanity. I hope that they see their story in mine, and that this book was written to be a conversation starter. It's 2026. The time to have the conversation is now, and I think this book opens that conversation, and I'm looking forward to having a lot more of it.
Well, Jeff Birmingham, we have enjoyed this conversation tremendously. We appreciate you coming in the studio.
Good to be with you. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.